history in the last game of the Texas Tech series last weekend. And this is their first Big 12 road trip in history. We are underway. Mac Morgan misses to Ailana Agbayani, BYU, led by Gordon Eakin in his 22nd year in charge.
Mac Morgan falling behind early, and this is something Coach White and Patty Ruth Taylor have been talking with the pitching staff about, is being able to control the at-bat from pitch one. The free passes are something that Coach White and Patty Ruth are going to be keeping an eye on as well. He talked about having shorter leashes with his starters. He's not going to wait. He's going to go ahead and make a change as quick as possible if it looks like it's needed.
There's strike one. You mentioned the first inning woes for Texas. In all three of their losses, the opposing team has jumped out to the early lead in the first. Stanford went up 2-0 before an out was recorded. Houston went up 4-0 in the first inning of that Houston win, and LSU went up 5-0 in the first.
Well, the first inning is where you want to make a statement, and on the side of when you're visitors, you want to be able to do that offensively, and two of those three losses have come.
Martinez deep in the hole, unable to make a play, so the leadoff hitter Agbayani is aboard.
Two of those three losses have come on the road, and so on the visiting side, they don't make a statement offensively. Gives the home team a little bit of momentum, knowing they just kept a potent offense at bay for the first inning, and then they've taken that to be able to go ahead and offensively use it against Texas.
Here's a very dangerous hitter, Matty Bejarano, number 6 in the nation in on-base percentage, number 7 in the country in runs scored per game. Morgan misses 1-1.
Bejarano, really a success story here at BYU. Transferred from University of Central Florida, now a Big 12 foe as well. But after 2 years there, felt like she needed a little bit of a change. Wanted to be able to play more often, not just come off the bench. Listened to her talk about it, and she said, I wasn't even done with my visit, and I asked Coach Eakin, what do I need to sign? I'm coming.
She was sold. Number of transfers on this BYU roster for Gordon Eakin, who says, listen, these days, the way college athletics is going, about 30 to 40% of your roster has to come through the portal.
Well, he was one of the first coaches to openly say that, yes, 30 to 40% of his recruiting is the portal. In fact, when I said, hey, Coach Eakin, you know, what are your thoughts on the portal? He said, just let everyone know that BYU's portal is always open, ready to take on some players. So you see there Coach Eakin's roster and who transferred from where, but he's not against going to the portal to, as he said, fill holes or even strengthen positions, and he's really been able to do that.
816 wins all time. And now his 22nd year. Full count offering on the way to Bejarano. Mike White talked about his admiration for the way Mac Morgan has adjusted to her new role this year. Last year was pretty much the ace for a good chunk of the season. He's come out of the bullpen in a number of appearances this year, but getting the start tonight. The 3-2. Over to second, Washington slides over, and the first out of the night is recorded. Alyssa Washington getting the start at second. Vivi Martinez to her right over at short.
Well, BYU making Mac Morgan work. That was an 8-pitch at bat by Bejarano before being retired. But asking Coach Eakin about his offensive philosophy, he said, I like to be aggressive. However, we also have to be patient. So I'm going to go ahead and say it needs to be patiently aggressive. And they're doing that tonight, making Mac Morgan throw balls into the zone.
They're averaging about 7.5 runs per game, not too far off from Texas's numbers. Here's Lily Owens, another transfer, sophomore out of Lehigh, who's been the second best hitter on the team this year, batting .433.
And Coach Eakin gives a lot of credit to Ken Brook, who came over from Auburn. He's overseeing the offense, which if you're a BYU Cougar fan, you might be a little bit shocked. Coach Eakin has, in his time, been well known as an offensive coach and been able to produce some very impressive offensive seasons at BYU, but he's handed that off and kind of oversees more so. So he did like that Ken Brook has brought better awareness of the strike zone, being pickier on pitches they attack, which has led to some more walks and deeper counts.
And speaking of that, again, these hitters showing patience as the count goes 2-2 as Ken Brook looks on. His offense hitting .355. That is the 5th best batting average in the country. Washington is there, 2 away. Runner Agbayani advances to third. And here comes the cleanup hitter, Hunter Ava. Number 12 in the nation in RBIs. And takes ball 1 from Morgan. She's been a power hitting machine, 55 home runs and over 200 RBIs in her career.
When you have to think Coach White, looking at the stats of BYU, went with Mac Morgan because of the ground balls she produces to combat the power of the Cougars.
So in the Longhorns will be facing Kate Daly, freshman out of Utah, and leading the team in ERA, and facing the leadoff hitter for the Longhorns, Caden Henry. Immediately lays down the bunt, and with that speed, she will easily beat that out.
Talking to Coach White after the weekend, he said he thought they got away from the short game. They didn't use it enough. Caden Henry, first pitch of the game, puts the pressure on Udall there at third base. Texas going to have to start out strong to make a statement here against BYU.
Yeah, Henry's got plenty of speed, and she's been showing it off as of late. 7 stolen bases over the past week's worth of games. I remember during her high school career, stole more than 100 bases. That one misses Tamia Scott. It's a very young BYU pitching staff, which we said Daly, the freshman, one of 4 underclassmen compared to just 1 senior on the staff.
Well, Coach Eakin talking about inconsistencies, and he said a lot of that is in the circle. They're having to learn what it takes to compete at this level, to compete every day at this level. He said he loves the move to the Big 12, and he will never complain about that. He said, but sometimes he lies awake at night wondering how his pitching staff's going to handle facing Oklahoma 3 days in a row, and then Texas 3 days in a row, and Oklahoma State all back to back to back.
It's a whole different ball game in the Big 12. He said he's ecstatic to be in the conference. It's helped recruiting, but the downside is the competition is significantly better.
Well, you make that move, and you obviously you have a little bit of a heads up that the move's going to happen, so you start recruiting knowing you're going to move into the Big 12. And you know, he said with the portal especially, he feels like they've gotten some athletes that they may not have gotten in the past if they weren't going to be moving to the Big 12. But as a pitching staff, and especially when you have athletes committed already, it's a learning curve. But I will say, I think the best way to get your athletes that experience and figure out how to adjust is throwing them into the fire early, let them see what doesn't work, and then you move on from there.
1-2 coming up to Mia Scott with Henry over at first. Scott has reached in 13 consecutive games. Henry is going, and another stolen base for the freshman. Her season high 12th of the year. Team high 12 for the Longhorns. As we said, she's been running a lot as of late.
Well, Henry gets a great jump, and you see Kamoku covering over there. She just is not going to beat Henry to the base. Henry easily safe. But that speed and that pressure is going to be something Texas is going to have to continue to put on BYU throughout this series.
That one misses.
This is where you can see a little bit of the inexperience from Daly, having Mia Scott 1-2, a hitter that doesn't strike out a lot. You have to try to stay around the zone because she's not going to chase a ton. Daly now seeing a full count.
Scott drills one to center field. That one goes off the wall, and it will bring home the first run of the game. Mia Scott with an RBI double.
This pitch, middle out. Mia Scott does a great job staying with that, driving it over the head of Lambert in center field. Off the wall, a little hard, almost got herself. Close play at second.
Scott has now reached in 14 consecutive games. And here comes the hottest hitter in the Texas lineup, Jolie Mitchell. Mitchell hitting .481, tops on the team. Has reached to 9 straight. And a hit in 7 consecutive contests. Off the glove of Daly. Runners on the corners. Texas in business early with the cleanup hitter Reese Atwood coming up. Mike White talked about trying to make sure Atwood doesn't overthink things after that incredible start to the year. But before she takes a swing, there will be a conference in the skies with Nevada's Taryn Jenkins. And still tied for 4th in home runs with 10. Takes strike 1. Atwood got off to that ridiculous start this year. It's cooled off a little, but still hitting .446.
Well, and for any athlete to be able to continue the hot hitting the way Reese Atwood started this season is almost unimaginable. She was hitting so well, and as a fan, you want to be able to see that continue, but you have to know somewhere you come back down to the law of averages. And Reese, still young in her career, having to mentally be able to deal with that as well, knowing, you know, this is what I was doing, and the expectations are that you continue to do that. Well, no, the expectation is not to continue on a pace that I think at one point we calculated would have been 80 or 90 home runs on the season. Like,
yes.
It's not going to happen.
Hard to keep that up. After Jolie Mitchell stole second a moment ago, 2 in scoring position. Atwood over to third, Udall on to first. First out here in the bottom of the first inning. One away now for Alyssa Washington, who is right now having the best offensive season of her career. Already set a new career high for home runs. And this is just the 25th game of the season. Left the yard 3 times last weekend in Houston. And is hitting .367. It's one thing to be named the captain, but to get off to this kind of offensive start, when mainly she had been known for her defense in the past.
Well, yeah, you mentioned 2022. She was plugged in at shortstop to help solidify the defense. Was able to offensively make some things happen. She had some clutch hits last year as a junior, but as a coaching staff, that's what you want to see is year-to-year progression. So you saw her go in, not a whole lot of pressure in 2022. Let's go play defense. Whatever you do offensively is an added bonus. As a junior, let's try to shore up the offense. And then now as a senior, leaving it all on the field, and she really is making the most of this senior year. But offensively has been very consistent for Texas.
Showing a good eye here. 3-0, 1 ball away from loading the bases. Katie Stewart, the freshman, is on deck for Texas. Washington sends one into the gap in right center and hauled in on the run by Owens. And they end up doubling up Jolie Mitch.
Well, the power and consistency of BYU's offense has to be respected. We see that home run there by Udall, but 1 through 9 of the lineup, each person able to step up at different times. But Udall making a great impact in that first win in the Big 12 for the Cougars.
Takes strike one from Mac Morgan, 1-1. Again, this offense top 10 in the country in runs per game and batting average. Hit .342 in that Texas Tech series. This one fouled off. Had a number of come from behind wins as well. Udall golfs one over to Martinez. One away. Stewart there to haul that one in at first. 3 consecutive groundouts. Katie Stewart getting the start at first tonight. Reese Atwood behind the plate.
Well, Mac Morgan, a drop ball pitcher, and as you mentioned, all 4 outs have been ground outs. 90% of her outs this season have been on the ground. That was something Coach White wanted her to focus on. He felt like the fly ball percentage for her last year was too high for a drop ball pitcher. So they talked about being able to command lower in the zone, work her spin a little bit tighter. So far, that's working here against BYU.
And when the defense is on behind her, she is really tough to beat.
Well, she throws a heavy drop ball, so she throws high 60s, sometimes can hit 70, so it makes it hard to stay through it, to drive it through the infield, to get lift on it. But you also have to have tight enough spin to induce that ground ball that they can't hit it hard. And so far, none of those ground balls off the bats of the Cougars have been incredibly hard for the Texas defense to handle.
Fooled Morrow there, the sophomore out of Las Vegas. So Morgan's ahead 1-2. Chop to Mac Morgan, helping out her own cause. Gave up a leadoff single to start the night, but after that has sat down 5 in a row. Here is Kayla Kamoku in the 7 spot. Junior transfer from Ole Miss. 300 hitter on the season. Morgan fires one in there for strike 1.
Well, BYU worked deep in the count against Mac Morgan in the first inning, forcing her to throw 22 pitches. She's thrown just 8 so far and has 2 outs already here in the second. So being more efficient with her pitch count, attacking the zone, letting her spin work, as we just talked about.
Pop in the glove of Atwood, 0-2. Texas undefeated on the year when scoring first. 18-0, swinging a miss, and quick work made of Kayla Kamoku by Mac Morgan every home game. And she hit one of the hardest balls we have seen in a long time in that Penn State win. That one was 289 feet to left field off the grad student housing. We were told, since they've been keeping track of the distances over the past few years, the hardest hit home run was by Shannon Rhodes over the scoreboard, 290.
Yeah, I think they said 94, 95 feet, so which it would have to carry that far to get over a scoreboard of that stature.
You have a feeling Stewart may break that mark sometime in her career.
Yeah, I would. She's going to probably have at least 1 or 2 in the top 5, top 10 by the time she's gone.
And watches the count go 3-0. He's one of the most patient hitters on the team with 17 walks, second most.
Beat me to it. I was about to say, you talk about her offensive prowess, but she also has a great eye and mature at bats, and the fact she's been able to earn 17 walks. Doesn't go chasing a whole lot, knows a hitter's count and what she's looking for.
It earns the leadoff walk. Texas comes into tonight tied for the second most runs per game in the nation with Miami of Ohio and Florida at 8.7 runs per game for Mike White. And Gordon Eakin will head out to the circle, and it looks like we may have a new pitcher hitting .317 so far on the year.
The designated player is now number 6,
that one misses.
Good opportunity here for BYU to make the change. Matas being a left-handed pitcher going against the left-handed hitters of Vivi Martinez, Ashton Maloney, and Bella Dayton that are all due up. Plus add in Caden Henry and Mia Scott if they get to the top of the order.
Strike one to Martinez. He's driven in 13 runs. Martinez over to second, and that one wide of Agbayani. So again, the new second baseman Owens throws it wide.
Well, coming in from right field, the ball finds Lily Owens at second base. She fields this nicely, but just a throw that gets past Agbayani at shortstop there. Tailor-made double play if they can hold on to this. But again, Kamoku and Agbayani, your normal middle infielders. So a little bit of a shakeup here for BYU.
And so the throw was on target. The error credited to Agbayani, E6.
Yeah, the throw was over the bag. I think Agbayani expecting it a little bit more on the backside so she could come through and be able to turn that into a double.
How tough is that to come in from right field, play second, and immediately make a tight play like that?
Well, there's a lot of pressure on you coming in, and that ball finds you, and it's a quick double play that you're trying to make in order to get yourself in a good position in this inning. And you know that they practice together. It's not like this is the first time ever that Lily Owens has played second base. They wouldn't list her there if she couldn't play there, but at the same time, you get into a rhythm with your middle infielders, and so might take a little bit for Agbayani and Owens to get in a rhythm in this game.
Ashton Maloney lays down the bunt. Udall on to first for the first out, but now two in scoring position for Texas. Well, here comes Bella Dayton for the Longhorns, who's been patient down in that 9 spot, especially as of late. She has walked in 4 straight games and is hitting .388 on the season. Takes strike one off speed.
Well, Bella Dayton does a good job of seeing a lot of pitches. As you mentioned, she has the 18 walks. She finds a way to get on base, turn that lineup over, which is what you want out of your 9-hole. Texas fans saw Bella Dayton lead off at the beginning of the year, but now she's doing a really good job of getting that lineup back to the leadoff spot more often. Quickly down 0-2, but don't be surprised to see herself work her way back into a full count at some point during this at bat.
She has 3 times as many walks as strikeouts this year. There you go. Full 1-2 coming up as she's hoping to get to the full count, possibly. 18 walks, as we said, and has driven in 9 on the season. Has looked good in the leadoff spot, the 9 spot as well. Two.
The competitiveness of Bella Dayton, too, is something you want down in the 9-hole, so you have a hitter who's going to fight, who's going to see a lot of pitches.
Full count.
And it just shows the experience, too, that Bella Dayton has in this lineup for Texas.
Freshman versus the savvy veteran Dayton. Dayton takes one to right field, and that will drop in. Katie Stewart heading home, and Texas extends their lead. Bella Dayton with the RBI single.
Well, BYU made 2 defensive changes, and the ball finds both of them. Vivi Martinez hitting at Lily Owens at second base, but Bella Dayton depositing this right into right field in front of Dolly. Not sure an everyday outfielder isn't charging a little harder and makes a shoestring catch there. So right now, those defensive shifts for BYU not paying off.
Dayton with the stolen base. Texas's 3rd stolen base of the night. Yeah, the ball finds you when you change positions, and it has in this inning with a new second baseman, new right fielder. Texas now again with 2 in scoring position, this time for Caden Henry. Delivered a bunt single in the first. Henry coming off 4 consecutive multi-hit games.
Well, Henry in the leadoff spot has picked up exactly where Bella Dayton was as far as getting on base early in the game. Needs to be able to come through here with runners in scoring position for Texas.
Henry showing some more pop as of late too. 4 home runs in her last 9 games. Henry to right field. That will drive home at least another run. Bella Dayton racing home as well. That's a 2-run single for Caden Henry.
Well, this is a great piece of hitting by Caden Henry. She takes this pitch, hits behind both runners, allowing Bella Dayton to score easily here with this ball into right field. Big 2 RBI single for the freshman.
Still only 1 out for Mia Scott. Scott making the 150th start of her career. Has started almost every game the Longhorns have played over her 3 years on the 40 acres. And a player who rarely strikes out. Just 3 on the year in nearly 70 at-bats.
Mia Scott's hand-eye coordination is just incredible. She is able to get bat to the ball on so many pitches, but at the same time, she has a good eye and is able to pick good pitches to hit.
As she does there. 3rd hit of the inning for Texas. And 3 in a row.
This is a long inning, not just from the scoring standpoint, but with all the substitutions. Obviously, Mata's got warm-up pitches when she came in.
Showing support for her teammate, Jolie Mitchell. Again, Mitchell top 15 in the country in batting average. Two and 0.
Jolie Mitchell brings a different intensity to the lineup for the Texas Longhorns. Anytime she's in the box, there is just an extreme focus, and when she's able to come through with a clutch RBI, you see a lot of passion. But then you have a conversation with her, and she exudes that there as well. We got to interview her after a midweek game And she just talked about how bad she wanted to play at Texas. She'd wanted to play here for a long time. So the second they called her when she got in the portal, it was almost an automatic yes, because she likes the way they play the game. And the staff has really appreciated what she brings, not just as an offensive player.
And earns a 4-pitch walk that will load the bases for Reese Atwood. Four consecutive Longhorns reaching. And here is Atwood, who is 0 for 1 after grounding out in the first inning. He's talked about just trying to stay relaxed at the plate. And that one misses. Atwood with 41 RBIs, tied for the most in the nation. (2-0).
Well, Texas as a team almost hitting 500 with bases loaded, 14 for 30 for a good 467 average in this situation. But right now, Dolly coming in a little bit cold, to be honest. She was standing in right field, but that's different to watch 5 hitters go out to bat, not throw a pitch.
Atwood drills one to left field, off the wall. Henry comes home. Following suit is Mia Scott. There's a 2-run single for Reese Atwood.
Well, if there's one way to get a monkey off your back, it's to go ahead and attack in a 2-0 count. This pitch low in the zone, which Reese Atwood drives well. She gets that inside pitch, a rocket off the left field wall, so hard that Jolie Mitchell is unable to advance any further than just 60 feet. But 2 more RBIs for Texas.
Texas has scored 5 runs in this inning. All smiles for the Longhorns as they'll send in a pinch runner for Reese Atwood. The freshman Adea Wallace takes over at first with Jolie Mitchell over at second. Longhorns offense on a roll right now, and here comes Alyssa Washington. Texas with 6 runs off 7 hits. We've only needed 1 extra base hit so far, a double from Scott. See what Washington can do here.
A lot of favorable counts for the Longhorns, so they're able to swing a little bit more freely when they're in control of the at-bat.
Texas is now outscoring their opponents this year 215 to 48. Washington, a big part of that. And again, a count goes 2-0. We said it's a young, inexperienced pitching staff dealing with numerous injuries.
Well, we've seen Dolly unable to locate a changeup in the zone, so Texas can sit 1 speed with her right now.
Runners advance as that one got away from the catcher. Everybody's safe. Wild pitch on Daly.
Well, hitters are reading this ball in the dirt, seeing it get away just enough. Heads up, though, by Morrow, trying to get Wallace at second as opposed to Jolie Mitchell at third. Close play there, but Wallace does indeed slide in before the tag. But heads up by the catcher to try to get an out here in this situation for the BYU Cougars.
Bases loaded again for Texas, and Katie Stewart coming up as the Longhorns have now batted around. Mitchell, Wallace, and Washington aboard for the freshman. Stewart missed a couple of games in that Houston series and then saw her 19-game on-base streak come to an end against LSU on Tuesday. Nice job by Morrow grabbing that one as Stewart walked earlier in this inning. One of 3 walks issued by BYU pitching here in the second.
Well, it's been a long inning. If I were a coach, I'd want Morrow to go out and have a conversation with Dolly a little bit right now, because she is working from behind. And a lot of pitches missing way outside of the zone.
Texas with 7 hits, 3 walks, no strikeouts offensively so far tonight. That one gets past Morrow. Mitchell will score easily. 7-0 Longhorns.
"13 of 15 pitches being balls" is not going to be in your favor as a pitcher.
Tough task against one of the highest scoring offenses in the nation. The count 2-1 to Stewart, with Wallace now at third, Washington at second. Swing and a miss. Katie Stewart with 4 home runs on the season.
You don't see Katie Stewart swing and miss a whole lot, but a good curveball there by Dolly, moving away from Stewart. But the key is being able to locate that pitch in the same spot. Back-to-back pitches. You may get Stewart to chase again if you hit that same spot, but going up and farther out, not something she's going to chase.
That was the first Texas swing and miss on the night. Texas with 6 runs here in an incredibly long second inning, between the number of runs scored, the changes, and now a discussion between Troy Kuykendall and Daly.
Well, Daly has a gorilla towel in her pocket, and that's something.
Who reached on an error earlier in this inning. And quickly dealing. Well, BYU trying to find some momentum just a little bit at this point. And after 2 consecutive strikes, there is ball 1 from the sophomore. Martinez ahead of that one. Ailana Agbayani, the daughter of former major leaguer Benny Agbayani, played for the New York Mets for 4 years. Part of that Benny and the Mets era. Her sister also on the Cougars as well, as she misses outside.
Well, you have to like at least the pace that Agbayani's going in the circle right now. Got in, pounded the zone, 2 quick strikes, but she's not wasting a lot of time in between pitches either.
Full count. Good eye from Martinez. Vivi Martinez has only walked 2 times this year.
Well, you can tell Vivi Martinez knows what part of the plate she wants to attack. Obviously, Agbayani has shown her that she's favoring the outer half. The only pitch inside was that up and in.
Martinez to left field, tagging up is Wallace at third, and she will score easily. That makes it an 8-0 Longhorns lead. So Agbayani at least records out number 2 in this inning. Stewart at first, Washington at second. And it looks like we may have a pinch hitter coming up for Ashton Maloney, and it will be the freshman Vic Hunter, who has done a tremendous job this year. In 24 at-bats, Hunter is hitting .500 with 10 RBIs.
Early in season, talking to Coach White, he said Hunter was somebody that they wanted to be able to get more at bats, but defensively don't have a place for her to play right now. I had a conversation with her about being a pinch hitter in RBI situations, especially for Ashton Maloney, who's typically a slapper, small ball, or in situations where there's a hitter who isn't seeing the ball really well that day. But Hunter has done a great job of coming in, has power as well. We've seen some home runs and doubles off her bat. So Hunter, a viable option here for Texas to drive in a few more runs.
Longhorns leading 8-0 here in the second inning. And the opening contest of their series against BYU.
Well, this is a situation that while on the scoreboard it says 8-0 and most people might think doesn't mean a whole lot. Coach White and his staff, it means a lot because he felt like there were situations in the series against Houston where they had chances to put away games. They had runners on base and opportunities to drive in a few more RBIs that would have made the lead greater, and they weren't able to come through. They did leave 25 runners on base in the last 4 games. So he wants to see that number decrease, but opportunities like this be able to be cashed in on and not an RBI left out there on the field.
They have cashed in this inning. 7 runs here in the second. Good crowd on hand here for this Thursday night opener. Texas's offense showing up as well, but a swing and a miss there by the freshman Hunter. 33 pitches so far. Gianna Matez over to Morgan.
Morgan with another ground out. The key is that she's being able to use it low in the zone and mostly on the outer half to these right-handed hitters. So if they're going to try to pull it, it's going to be very hard with the spin she has and the speed she throws. That's where you see the easy ground balls to herself, to Vivi Martinez, occasionally Mia Scott. Now on the flip side, she'll throw that pitch inside to lefties, which is where you'll see Alyssa Washington get a lot of ground balls.
Facing Jalen Lambert. He's hitting .545 in limited at-bats this year. Junior outfielder from California. BYU with 1 hit on the night. It came from their very first batter, Agbayani.
Well, and even that single was a ground ball to Hopper, but deep in the hole to where Vivi Martinez didn't have a play on it. But still not an incredibly hard hit ball off of Mac Morgan.
Again, this is a BYU offense that was averaging almost 8 runs per game, but facing a Texas pitching staff that's top 10 in the nation in ERA, even after having that rough weekend against Houston. Chopped over to Washington. Defense has been clean so far.
When you can live at the bottom of the zone as a pitcher, it makes it very hard for teams to be able to lift the ball. So a lot of times you see pitchers that think mid-thigh high is a really good strike. For a hitter, it's a great strike for them to see because they like to drive the mid-thigh. They don't like to have to go down to their knees to get a ball. Mac Morgan doing a great job living at the knees and below so far against the Cougars.
Back up to the top of the order. Morgan has only had to throw 5 pitches so far in this inning. Number 6 misses to Agbayani, who had a clutch home run in the 7th inning earlier this year against Hawaii with their team down 2-0. They've had a few 7th inning comebacks this year, but none from this big of a deficit. Agbayani, former West Coast Conference Defensive Player of the Year. Terrific hitter as well. As we saw earlier, a few moments ago, did a nice job coming out of the bullpen in relief.
That's not easy, and you don't see a lot of times your relief pitcher coming from shortstop. An outfielder, maybe a first baseman, but usually not your middle infield.
Full count. Over to Mia Scott. Another 1-2-3 inning.
Use that flex player option. They have probably worn it out by now on that lineup card.
Texas has only needed one extra base hit tonight. Just a double by Scott. The rest singles and walks.
For a pitcher that wasn't supposed to be used this year, that was supposed to be able to stay at shortstop and play middle infield, Agbayani comes in with no fear. She has been able to, attack the strike zone more consistently than the two other pitchers that we've seen in this game. Dolly and Mata is both very inconsistent around the strike zone, but Agbayani, a different change of pace, being able to attack the zone, force Texas to have to swing the bat.
That bloop is going to drop in. And Bella Dayton is aboard. Past Lily Owens, who is playing her third position of the night over at short. Bella Dayton 2 for 2. Back up to the top of the order we go. Caden Henry, who also has 2 hits. And for Caden Henry, that is now 5 consecutive multi-hit games. Mike White mentioned earlier this week that Texas's last handful of games were a little bit of everything. The good, the bad, and the ugly, as he called it. The good was the offense, certainly. And strong relief appearances by Czech and Morgan. He wanted to see fewer mental lapses. That's what he called the bad. Haven't had any so far tonight. Defense has been good. The ugly, he called the first innings against LSU in Houston. Texas didn't see that tonight as well.
I think he just wants to see starting pitching not get too comfortable, continue to go out with a little bit of hunger. And he said Tegan Kavan was put in that LSU situation, an environment that he wanted her to be in because it was like a postseason environment, able to be in front of a hostile crowd for the opposing team as opposed to Clearwater, where it's a tournament and it's a lot of a neutral crowd that's just looking for good softball. So he expected some nerves from her, but wants to see better starts out of Citlali Gutierrez. And he said that the appearances of Czech and Mac Morgan, he might give them starts like he did tonight to put some pressure on those two to figure out how to be a little bit more consistent as well.
Yeah, all 3 of their losses this year, nerves were mentioned. As far as the pitching struggling early, Citlali Gutierrez against Naja Kennedy in that Stanford matchup. You mentioned Tegan Kavan. How tough of a situation is that for a true freshman to go in pretty much in the first half of the year at the midway point into a hostile environment like that in Baton Rouge?
It's an environment that you're going to have to get used to, but until you're exposed to it, you don't know physically how you react. I'll take for granted, or for an example, is the first time we went to the World Series, we had played in Oklahoma City, don't get me wrong.
Owens, nice play over at short. Where was the toughest place you ever played?
Norman, Oklahoma was the toughest place to play, no questions asked. Texas A&M College Station might have been a close second, but Norman, Oklahoma,
you know, I did
get
see,
after us.
As Leanne Good comes up to pinch hit, I did see recently on the website formerly known as Twitter, X, that you were saying you were interested in visiting the new stadium in Oklahoma. Would the fans there welcome you? And they responded with open arms that they would.
They did. They responded really well. Not that I expected any less. They were very gracious fans here 2 years ago as well when we hosted them and my jersey retirement happened. But
when you're a player, it's a different story, though.
No, when we were a player, it got a little brutal. My freshman year, we were sent there for regionals because after 9/11, no one flew. We drove, and so us, A&M, and Oklahoma were in the same regional, and we actually lost to OU, and I remember overrated fraudulent, all sorts of things being chanted out while I was in the circle, which was interesting. And our center fielder,
those are the things you can say on the air.
Yeah, our center fielder was told that by like a 9-year-old that he had seen a better arm on a chair.
And what, you can't talk back to a 9-year-old.
No, she said she turned around and realized how young he was and was like, really? So there have been all sorts of things shared, but yeah, OU was one of the most hostile, and until you're in it, you don't know how to deal with it physically. You don't know that your heart rate is going to go up. You don't know if you're going to get the shakes. I was saying the first time we ever played in the World Series, we played the Big 12 tournament in Oklahoma City, so that stadium wasn't new to us, but the environment of it being the World Series, I was shaking for probably about 2 hitters. Wasn't until, you know, I gave up a home run, and then all of a sudden it was like, all right, we got to figure out how to settle in here.
I still think being heckled by a 3rd grader is right up there.
Yeah, it gets interesting in those environments, but
You have to bite your tongue.
yeah. As a freshman, sophomore, you almost don't know any better, but then as a junior, senior, you go in and you're like, oh man, now I can't really say anything.
Well, that's why we always see the players holding their glove up above their mouths, right? When they're frustrated, whether it's a disappointment in the call by the umpire or getting heckled,
Yeah, you put your glove up
censor yourself
so nobody can see what your real feelings are.
There's a pinch hit walk earned by Leanne Good. She walks on down to first. Henry over at second, and here comes Jolie Mitchell, who has reached twice. You talked about what a competitor Jolie Mitchell is on the field, off the field as well. I don't know how many people know this story. About 3 years ago, she was fighting for her life, battling a serious illness, which at one point, her blood platelet level was in the single digits. For perspective, they're normally in the hundreds of thousands. She was eventually diagnosed with an immune disorder in which her blood would not clot normally. Her community in Rosebud, Arkansas set up a GoFundMe, helped the family with the incredible medical costs. Finally, after going through a ton of different treatments, she was able to get healthy. Returned with a vengeance eventually the next 2 years at Notre Dame. But she has been through so much outside of the game of softball.
You go through something like that in life, and it gives you just a different perspective when you're able to get back on the field and do something you enjoy and almost not take it too seriously, because you've already faced something way more serious than success or failure on a softball field is going to be.
That is a tough kid out of Rosebud, Arkansas. And launches one to left field. Jolie Mitchell leaves the yard for the 5th time this season. What a night for the Longhorns offense, as they have put up 11 and we're only in the 3rd.
Well, there you see 18% of Texas's hits this year are home runs, but Jolie Mitchell has been heating up as of late. She makes Coach White and Steve Singleton look extremely smart, moving her there into the 3-hole tonight. Racking up a few more RBIs.
That is Texas's 31st home run of the season.
Well, that pitch in her half, and you see belt high. She does a great job staying through that. She knows off the bat that pitch is clearing the wall. If you notice, though, Jolie Mitchell doesn't take her time trotting around the bases.
No.
She runs that home run trot really fast.
Well, and they brought, last year we had the Chucky doll. Now they brought up the basketball.
I missed that.
The little mini basketball.
Get a little slam dunk in
Their
there.
good luck charm, yeah. And it looks like we will have another pitching change for BYU. Timeout in Austin. The Longhorns up big, to say the least, in their Big 12 home opener. Well, we had relief pitcher Alyssa Aguilar walk right out to the outside of the circle and then was told to head back to the dugout. So Ilana Agbayani will stay in there with Reese Atwood now at the plate. Strike one.
I don't know if Coach Eakin and Coach Meredith thought they were at a different part of the order or what, but
Atwood pops up.
I guess worst case, the delay paid off for the Cougars.
There you go. Two-way now for Alyssa Washington. That 7-run bottom of the second inning was 36 minutes officially, just the bottom half of the frame.
The whole conversation about the gorilla towel and
Yes.
all of that, that was 9 minutes of it alone. But
Did we get a final ruling about the gorilla towel?
the Gorilla Gold All Sports formula can be used as long as it doesn't transfer to the ball.
So it's not a towel, it's a formula.
Yes, it's a formula on the towel. But as long as it doesn't transfer to the ball, as soon as it starts transferring to the ball, it can no longer be used. And so that can happen by a number of different ways, but one is a grip enhancer. So if you're using that and it gets on the ball, it is now deemed an illegal substance.
And it's called again Gorilla All.
Well, as a pitcher, you call it the Gorilla Gold towel, but Gorilla Gold All Sports formula. I do know it's popular in golf as well because my husband's a golf coach.
There
so
you go.
I know they've used it or he has heard of it before too.
It's the official ruling. 2-2 now, the count to Alyssa Washington.
That ruling all thanks to Steve McCowan, one of our head umpires for NCAA.
Thank you, Steve. Washington towards the stands. We were saying earlier, for a Thursday night game, usually series starts on Friday. Very good crowd on hand. Plenty of fans in the bleachers as well.
The outfield bleachers packed today, but spring break for most people here in Austin. Going ahead and enjoying a Thursday night game. Be interested to see what tomorrow morning looks like. Weather rolling in, see if we get a crowd even though it's still spring break.
Washington to right field. Lennon, who's now in right field, slides in at the last second and makes Arizona, who's leading things off here in the fourth inning. And BYU will have a game next week in honor of Down syndrome awareness and to celebrate her brother Tanner as well as Haley Morrow's sister London. They'll be throwing out the first pitch at that game as well at BYU's park.
Well, you can see in the pictures that how much joy she has when she sees her brother post game.
I mean, automatic inspiration there from Tanner Bejarano. And while he may not necessarily be enjoying this one, they're going to take the field a lot sooner than we expected. Tomorrow's game has been moved up from 5 o'clock to 11:30 in the morning to try and beat the weather.
A lot of weather is supposed to roll in tomorrow and Saturday, so Texas and BYU going to have to get a little creative to get them in. But early start tomorrow.
And there is a strikeout for Mac Morgan, who has retired every batter since giving up a hit to the first batter of the game.
It's only her second strikeout of the night, but Mac Morgan using this outer part, and you see Reese Atwood getting under that ball so well, that dropping down below the knees, but Mac Morgan and Reese Atwood working well to get that one a called strike. And arm side, Mac Morgan likes to throw that drop ball away to righties into lefties, using arm side there away from Bejarano. Such a great pitch.
10 in a row retired. Lily Owens at the plate. A couple of defensive changes for Texas. Leanne Good taking over at first. Jolie Mitchell moving to third. Time is called.
Well, Coach Eakin asking Owens if that ball hit her in the forearm or in the hand.
And BYU came in 16-6 on the year. Top 10 in the country in runs per game, but Texas dominating here with 1 run in the first, 7 in the second, and 3 in the third. Chopped over to Martinez. There you go.
When you're preparing for a series, you always make sure you watch a video on all the pitchers, but I have to wonder if Coach Eakin and his staff thought they were going to get Citlali Gutierrez or Tegan Cavan tonight as opposed to Mac Morgan. Texas having used those two as their primary starters prior to tonight.
Who do you think we see tomorrow and Saturday? Cavan obviously in one of those, and Gutierrez in the other?
I would think Cavan will get the start tomorrow. I could be wrong. They could go Gutierrez because she did pitch again for the last time last Friday. So they could go Gutierrez tomorrow, Cavan on Sunday. I think I would probably go Cavan tomorrow and then Gutierrez, excuse me, on Saturday, not Sunday. Because then that gives you the ability to have Morgan, Check, and Cavan all in relief on Saturday if you need it.
Check and Morgan have been very good in relief this year. Morgan looking strong in the start tonight. Good. Taps the bag. Another 1-2-3 inning.
They've been able to come up when they have the opportunity, or to provide when they have the opportunity tonight.
Katie Stewart coming up to the plate, a couple of walks. Texas has earned 5 walks to go with their 9 hits. Again, game number 2 tomorrow at 11:30. The series finale Saturday at noon, weather permitting. And by the way, Texas with another ranked opponent coming up in a midweek matchup against FSU in Tallahassee. Longhorns facing so many ranked teams this entire season.
Texas heads out to Florida next week for their matchup, not just FSU, but UCF on the weekend.
By the time the regular season comes to an end, Texas will have played 16 games against ranked teams. Florida State, of course, the Oklahoma State series in Stillwater, the Oklahoma series here in Austin.
And then you see the midweek, Texas State receiving votes right now in the USA Today ESPN.com poll. It's a big stretch here for the Longhorns.
Katie Stewart crushes another one deep to left field. The freshman with home run number 5 of her young career.
Well, after working 2 walks, Katie Stewart does not allow the walk to be an opportunity, jumping on that pitch.
I thought that was going to hit the building.
I did too. I was following the angle of the ball, and I really thought that might go off the base of the building. Falls just short. You see the fans out there in left field. But Katie Stewart, she has some power. Just the strength of a freshman, it's incredible.
I don't think anybody should be parking out there in left for the next 4 years or so, as long as she's on campus, because she has been battering that part of the area for the first month and a half of this. It's a nice new truck there.
Truck and that SUV both need to move their cars, because Jolie Mitchell actually hit the front window of that SUV, but I don't think it cracked it.
Is that covered by insurance?
It is. Oh, car insurance? I don't think so.
I'll park mine out there if that's the case.
I know Texas doesn't have to cover it because there's signs that say beware of where you park.
CDC's not paying for that?
I'm sure a lot of fans wish you would.
What a start to Katie Stort's career. Vivi Martinez at the plate now for the Longhorns. This is Jolie Mitchell earlier tonight.
Watch, it goes boom.
Oof.
Right off that cart.
Nothing. No cracks, nothing.
I don't know how. I've seen a lot of balls go out there. I don't know that I've ever seen one hit a window like that dead on to where there's not a single crack.
Okay, ready to resume play here as Texas has scored in every inning of this contest. Remember, BYU will be down to their last 3 outs in the top of the 5th. Martinez, 1 away. Texas came into this one number 8 in the nation in home runs per game. 30 in their first 24 contests. They have a couple tonight. It's like Ashton Maloney re-entering the game for Texas, and we will have a new pitcher in there for BYU. Texas with 12 runs off 10 hits against a host of different BYU pitchers. Here's Ashton Maloney.
Well, Aguilar coming off a torn ACL, so she hasn't gotten back into the groove of pitching yet. Coach Eakin and Coach Meredith using this as an opportunity for her to get a couple outs, face a few hitters. Coach Eakin said she's been used to kind of bridge the gap for a few hitters between pitchers mid-game a lot, but not in full form yet.
This is BYU's first visit to Austin since 2016. In their first year in the Big 12. Came into this one 1-2 in conference play. Texas was 2-1. Maloney. Out number 2.
Aguilar able to come in and change the pace with an off-speed pitch. We haven't seen a lot of change-ups out of BYU's pitching staff tonight. Dolly tried, was unable to locate it in the zone, but Aguilar, 2 change-ups there to Ashton Maloney. That second one inducing that pop-up because she was out in front of it.
2 away for Katie Simmons, pinch hitting for Bella Dayton. Simmons, a .417 hitter on the season. Been in and out of the starting lineup, 6 starts on the year, including 1 against Houston last weekend. One and one.
Well, Simmons, an athlete that is used to, as you mentioned, being in the starting lineup every day, getting more opportunities at the plate than she has so far this season.
Simmons sends one to deep left field, and another home run for the Longhorns. What a night for the Texas Bats, 13-0.
Well, to finish that sentence, I was going to give props to Katie Simmons for being able to be ready to hit, even though she's not getting the same opportunities she got her first 2 years here on 40 acres. And in this at bat here, you see this pitch coming inside and off speed, but she's able to stay with it. You see the bat flip. She knew off the bat that that was clearing her first home run of the 2024 season for Katie Simmons.
3 of the last 7 Texas batters have hit home runs. Here comes Caden Henry with 2 away. Home run number 1 on the season for Simmons, and for Texas as a team, their 33rd. Over to second. Here we go. Top of the 5th inning on the way. BYU down to their last 3 out. The Cougars, as their prolific offense has been quieted tonight. Again, they were missing one of their star offensive players, Violet Savadnik, for the series, out in concussion protocol. But I don't know how much she could have helped in a game like this.
Well, Mac Morgan has just been in command after that first inning single. Really, after the first inning, she threw 22 pitches in the first inning, and after that, you see she's only thrown 36. There's Violet Savadnik there, made the trip to go ahead and cheer her team on. But Mac Morgan making quick work, innings 2 through 4. Anytime you have a pitcher that pounds the zone, works quickly, able to keep the ball low in the zone, it's going to be hard on hitters.
Well, for Mike White, this is how you wanted to see your team respond, coming off the Houston series, which was up and down there, coming off the LSU game, which was obviously a tough matchup. Texas records the first out. But a clean game all around for the Longhorns in this one.
Yeah, the Longhorns, especially defensively, have been very sound, and that's what you have to be behind Mac Morgan. Also easy, though, to be on your toes knowing you're going to get a lot of ground balls. So great opportunity for Texas defense here.
1 away for Haley Morrow. Mac Morgan, a couple of strikeouts, no walks, no runs, and a single.
Well, she's only faced 3 3-ball counts all night, so really been in control of the at-bat.
One of her best performances of the year. And again, earlier this season, she had a no-hitter and a 5-inning run rule against San Diego, but this is against an offense here tonight that was one of the best in the nation coming in.
And you could just see she's able to really work the corners. When she misses, she's missing off the plate. We have seen some situations this year where she does miss on the plate, a little bit too much white.
Morrow fouls that one off of her. And Mike White talked about, listen, with Czech and Morgan seeing more relief appearances than they had in the past, they're taking advantage of these opportunities because they know they're not getting as many starts as they did a season ago.
Well, you have to make the most of those to prove that you can get the job done. And Coach White talking about it, you want to be able to trust who's ever out there. And not that he doesn't trust them fully, but he feels like they've been better in relief. But he wants to be able to figure out what the rotation's going to be that they can continue with throughout conference play here. But Mac Morgan tonight making a statement as a starter.
As BYU down to their final out of the evening. Kayla Kumoku at the plate. And takes strike 1 from Morgan. Mac Morgan looking to move to 5-0 on the year.
It's no surprise to anybody watching. I'm a sucker for good drop balls, and Mac Morgan is just really able to locate this pitch at the knees so well tonight. That's going to make all the difference for her if she can continue to be able to consistently live at the knees, stretch it up just a little bit when she needs to. But to roll this many ground ball outs in a night is impressive.
Mitchell charging on to first, and there you go. Texas with a dominating 13-0 victory in their Big 12 home opener.